Hey, good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us this morning for our council meeting here at the RTA. I'd like to call this meeting to order. This morning, our invocation will be given by Reverend Claude Axel with Mount Pilgrim Baptist Church. Reverend?
Shall we at this time pray? Eternal God, our gracious Heavenly Father, how great you are. And to call your name, we know that your name is worthy to be called. And this morning, we come to this city council meeting asking for your divine favor and blessings upon this council. I pray, God, that you will give each council member, give them eyes to see, give them ears that they may hear the concerns of the people from the community and wherever else that they may come from. But then, oh God, give our council members as well as our city manager and his staff, along with other officials, give all of them hearts that they not only would listen and see, but that they would be able to feel the needs, the compassion, and the concerns of our city at large. God bless America. In Jesus' name we do pray. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend. Our pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States and to the Texas state flag will be led by Jalen Morales. She is with my office, the Office of the Mayor, and our Public Relations Specialist.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now for the Texas flag. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Jalen. Ms. Webster, would you please call the roll?
Mayor Guajardo.
Present.
Council members Roland Barrera.
Here.
Samir Campos.
Here.
Gil Hernandez.
Here.
Michael Hunter.
Here.
Jim Klein.
Here.
Mike Pesley. Everett Roy.
Here.
Dan Suckley.
Here.
City Manager Peter Zanoni.
Present.
City Attorney Miles Risley. Mayor and Council, a quorum of the council and the required charter officers are present to conduct the meeting.
Thank you, Ms. Webster. City Manager's comments. Mr. Zanoni.
Okay, are you going to do a
Oh, the
safety
briefing?
briefing? Yes.
I'm sorry, Steph.
Okay, we'll do the safety briefing first. So we do have another report.
Thank you. Good afternoon. In the event of an emergency, we will exit the boardroom to my right, the council's left, proceed down towards this west stairwell down to the first floor, where you will exit through the west side doors. Once outside, you will continue toward the clock tower adjacent to the transfer station. Secretary Rebecca Huerta will account for all the council members, and I will be the last one out to ensure everyone gets out safely. 3 things to remember during the emergency. Please do not use the elevator. Please only return once the all clear has been given. And if we need a shelter in place, we will do so in the west side stairwell. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie. Okay, Mr. Zanoni.
Okay, great. Thank you, Mayor. Mayor and members of the council, we do have 2 items on the city manager report this morning. And the first one is an acknowledgement of Drew Molly, our chief operating officer. I recently appointed him to this position permanently. You're going to hear a lot from him today. But just do a quick introduction of him, that he's going to say a few words to the council. So on Monday, January 8th, I appointed Drew Molly as the permanent Chief Operating Officer over Corpus Christi Water. And Drew has served as an interim Chief Operating Officer since September of 2023. Drew has been with the city for over a year now. He joined the city in September of 2022 as CCW's Director of Water Systems and Support Services. He has over 16 years of experience in municipal government, leading numerous programs and services related to water and wastewater operations. So before joining the city of Corpus Christi, and this is where we found Drew, he was in Houston, the city of Houston, where he spent most of his career. There he served most recently as the Director of Drinking Water Operations. Now we know Houston's pretty big city, and their water operation is as well. In his position, he was responsible for over 600 employees, an operations and maintenance budget of $180 million, and a capital improvements program of $200 million. And Drew had worked with the city of Houston since 2006, and before his role as director, he served as assistant director for water operations and managing engineering of water operations. So in 2021, in addition to his regular job, Drew picked up the chair of the Texas section of the American Water Works Association. And he still holds that important extracurricular role today, leading this very important association, the American Water Works Association. Many staff members are members of that association, but statewide, these leaders in water meet frequently and share ideas and continue the network. That helps us out as a city and helps them out in their profession, and Drew is the chair of that association. So in addition to his over 16 years of experience, he has a bachelor's in science, a Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering from Texas A&M University in College Station. He maintains a TCEQ Class A water operator license, and he also is an engineer, and so he has a professional engineer license in civil and environmental engineering, and is registered in the state of Texas. So with him vacating his prior spot, we did place Nick Winkleman, who you all are familiar with. Nick is serving as an interim role in the Director of Water Systems and Support to backfill Drew's vacant spot. Nick has served our operations since September of 2023. So with that, for the council and the community, let's have Drew, let's welcome Drew to this new position, and Drew's going to come up just to say a few remarks. Drew?
Good morning, Mayor and Council. What's fun about this opportunity here is really I'm just one small part of a larger organization that is fully committed to the city. We have over 500 employees in CCW who are behind the scenes, ensuring that our community has safe drinking water and that their wastewater is collected, treated, and released back to the environment. I will tell you, as Peter just mentioned, that environmental stewardship is important to me. Having gone to school at Texas A&M University, earning a civil engineering degree, and also earning a specialty degree in environmental engineering. My family lives and works in the Coastal Bend, where we raise livestock. My small kids are bee farmers. They are also proud 6th-generation South Texans. Many of their ancestors lived off the land and needed it to survive. Corpus Christi is in the business of running a water utility. And more importantly, Corpus Christi Water is in the business of protecting public health. The greatest civilizations on the planet started next to reliable water supplies. Without them, their existence would not be possible. A prominent Corpus Christian in the business community was quoted saying last week, there are cities without police departments, without fire departments, without libraries, without streets, and without schools. There are no cities without water. Our team is committed to the cause of protecting public health and being part of this community. I want to recognize them. Many are sitting right here today, and of course many are not, because they are operating and maintaining the infrastructure that we sometimes take for granted. Many folks in CCW and other departments are continuing to step up to deliver water supply solutions. Permits are moving. Funding is available for us at costs far below the open market would provide. The state and nation is looking for us to lead the way in water resiliency. The biggest obstacle is waiting. So I thank each and every one of you for what you do for this city. And as Peter mentioned, I think you'll probably be seeing me a little bit later. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, Chris. Okay, great. Mayor, the second item on my city manager comments is just a quick recap on the extreme weather event that just happened about a week ago. I know we probably already have forgotten it, but we did want to recognize some of the achievements of the city and our first responder teams and some of the commitments we always make to include making sure the most vulnerable populations make it through an event like this. Just over a week ago, this event happened, and it began on Sunday, January 14. Just as a side note here, Corpus Christi had freezing temperatures from 2:30 a.m. Monday to 11:05 on Tuesday. And so if we're awake enough to do the math, that's over 32 hours of below freezing temperatures. We representatives, though, from over a dozen city departments all proactively met early last week before the storm, as we normally do, to prepare. And those departments included our police and fire departments, our parks and recreation departments, public works, solid waste, our gas department, libraries, animal care, housing, the airport, Corpus Christi Water and our public health district, and then communications and emergency management led by Billy Delgado, who's here with us this morning. Now the city and a lot of what we do need help from our private sector partners, and that's something we've stressed in the past 5 years, is building strong relationships with agencies and partners that help us achieve having a high quality life for our community, and that includes the Red Cross and the RTA. That also includes Nueces County Emergency Management, the City of Robstown, TxDOT, TDM, which is the Texas Department of Emergency Management. AEP Texas is a strong partner, especially in events like this. The Port of Corpus Christi, we even work with the Texas State Aquarium to prepare for a shock to sea turtles and other wildlife. The U.S. Coast Guard and the United Way, those are some of the agencies that helped us achieve pretty good results last week on that cold weather event. We provided relief for the unhoused and for those that didn't have heat necessarily in their homes. In addition to using city libraries and senior centers and the Ben Garza Gym as daytime warming centers for the 3-4 day period, we also opened an around-the-clock cold weather refuge. This is the first time we did this, and it was at the Corpus Christi Natatorium, the Corpus Christi Gym, right next to the Corpus Christi Natatorium on Saratoga. This provided accommodations overnight for 2 nights, 2-3 nights when we saw the coldest of the nights, and we were there when we first opened it, and sure enough, a lot of folks were coming in who otherwise would probably be on the streets with no shelter. So the refuge team that staffed the center was comprised of city employees from several departments. This is not their normal line of work, but they volunteered to work around the clock. The Red Cross helped in providing blankets, sleeping cots, and other supplies for this refuge center. It was pretty successful, so we'll continue to add that to our mix of services to the community when we have extreme weather events like this. So some statistics here from Monday, January 15 through Wednesday, the 17th, that's when it was the coldest. 2,683 people used our warming centers. So over 2,600 people came in just to warm up a little bit. And our warming centers, which you can see here, is our libraries or our senior centers. And 37 people took advantage of that overnight shelter at the natatorium, 37 people. At the same time, the Salvation Army and the Good Samaritan Rescue took in an additional 178 persons who were homeless. And so they opened their facilities to provide more accommodations, getting 178 people in warm shelter for those 2-3 nights of cold. We opened up our 311 call center. That's you can dial 311 whenever there's a question on city services and business. And that's open normally during the operating hours. Monday was a holiday. It was a Martin Luther King holiday, so normally that would have been closed, but given that we knew it would be a cold event, we opened it up, and we had almost 350 calls that came in that day, so it was well worth opening up that center. Our Housing and Community Development Department, along with the Police Department, visited several areas of the city to conduct welfare checks. I know this was important to the council. Welfare checks on seniors that we know who receive meals from us daily. We didn't just say, we'll see you in a few days. We came by and checked to make sure they were doing okay. We gave them gloves and hats and socks and warmers as well if they needed it. We want to thank the RTA because the RTA, along with our Corpus Christi Police Department, helped transport anybody that needed a ride free to any one of those shelters I just mentioned. That's something we've always had, but it's good to repeat here that anybody that got onto an RTA bus and said, I need to go to this warming center or I need to go to the Salvation Army, were taken free of charge with no questions asked. That's part of our business protocol. The city also began informing the public via news releases and social media about tips to protect their property and their pets. We did use our reverse alert system numerous times to make sure those that have signed up for it were aware of the coming cold and what to do about it. Animal care, which is a big deal for us and improving every day. We had a total of 609 calls from the morning of January 12, Friday, to the morning of Wednesday the 17th. And we gathered over 100 animals, 100 pets that were either strays or were not provided shelter. So we picked those up. Our animal care team, this time for the first time, and probably the first time, I don't know, ever, worked around the clock. So they weren't on call. They staged the employees, so somebody was working around the clock for that 3-day period. And that's where we picked up many pets in the late evening. And so also, we did a great job this time getting the community activated to help us with the fostering of animals. And we had 22 pets that were taken to foster homes from persons that volunteered, came in, filled out an application, got some training, and took 22 pets that otherwise would be in cramped accommodations. And also through that, 12 pets were adopted out because of that outreach, even during that cold weather event. So that concludes kind of a summary of it. We do want to repeat again our thanks to the community, because, and the city can't do everything alone in our community.
Right, Peter,
yes, ma'am.
to that point, I would just like to add and thank the Gulf Coast Humane Society. They're always great partners, specifically. This time around, excuse me, I believe we only had to transport 2 dogs over to them for purposes of more space.
Right.
Because I'm sorry, the last time I think it was over 10. And that goes to show, and also to thank our residents who stepped forward to short-term foster. Because they took those dogs, we were able to bring in more and accommodate more. So to many of your points. So thank you to the community, as you mentioned.
Right, the Gulf Coast Humane Society helps. If a homeless person wants to go into a shelter and has a pet with them, they oftentimes won't go into the shelter because there's no accommodation for the pet. So our partner, the Gulf Coast Humane Society, takes those animals until the person's back out from the shelter. So thanks them. RTA, we want to thank the Red Cross. AGB, as always, is a huge community partner with food. The Salvation Army, the Good Samaritan Mission, and then Mother Teresa Shelter also expanded their services. So in all of our city weather-related emergencies, the key thing is this: protecting people, pets, and property. That's our goal. We don't want to lose any life. And our teams continue to demonstrate their commitment to ensuring we are prepared during weather events like this. And the city organization and our partners have a great track record of this, great protocols, and we're proud of them, and we thank them for the extra work that they did. Billy's here. Billy, could you just wave your hand? Billy was working around the clock as well, our emergency management coordinator. He becomes the focal point for all of our teammates with all things direction related and then information sharing. So Billy, thank you for another successful emergency preparedness event. And Mayor, that concludes my comments.
And I'd also just like to point out Parks and Rec. I don't know if Robert Dodd, I think I saw him earlier. There you are.
Yes,
thank you to the team. You guys did an amazing job. Thank you very much. Councilman Klein, I think you have a comment?
Yeah, just very quick, I want to compliment the city staff on opening the 24-hour center in particular. That's a great step forward. There was some areas for improvement. I came up here to the RTA area, the transfer station, at about 5 o'clock Monday evening, and people who are unhoused did not know about the 24-hour center. When I told them it was at the Corpus Christi gym, they asked how to get out there, After a fashion, we found that Route 15 goes out nearest to the CC gym, but Route 15 does not come into the downtown area, that they would have to take another bus over to the Ayers transfer station to be able to get on Route 15, be able to get over to the gym that night. And so there was a lack of information about that amongst the drivers here and the RTA staff here as of about 4:30, 5 o'clock Monday evening as well. And so I think it's a great effort, great endeavor. I think it's a wonderful step forward, but I think we need to kind of hone that just a bit more yet. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, thank you, Mr. Zanoni. So with that, we'll go ahead and move on to our public comment. We'll start a few minutes early. Mr. Risley, would you please recite the rules of decorum?
Citizens are authorized to present their views to the council on city-related matters. However, such should be done in a factual, precise presentation, and questions of council or staff are inappropriate. Loud, boisterous, profane, or obscene language or behavior is not allowed.
Thank you, Mr. Risley. So individuals will be called upon in the order in which they signed up electronically. In-person public comments will be taken first, followed by virtual public comment. Corpus Christi residents will take precedence over non-residents, and for those commenting in person, I would just like to remind everyone that there is a recording being made of the meeting. Please speak into the microphone located at the podium and state your name and address prior to speaking. There are two opportunities in which you can make public comment. One is at this time, and the other is at the time of the item. Please choose one. Citizen comments are limited to 3 minutes. Non-resident comments are limited to 1 minute. And for those commenting in person, there is a timer to my right on the dais in front of Rebecca's area where you will see the clock winding down. Once you hear the buzzer, if you'll please conclude your sentence, we would appreciate that. If you have a petition or any information that you would like to give us prior to you speaking, please hand it to our city secretary and she will just read that to us. So with that, we will start with Sean Flanagan.
My name's Sean Flanagan. I live at 4218 Hernandez Street. What I'm about to say is my own opinion, not representing any group. I was really pleased what y'all just reported, City Manager, concerning how you handled the freeze. You thought outside the line. You had a pretty effective, not perfect, but pretty effective response. As you go into this water deal, you're going to hear a lot of folks get up and you're going to get an earful, no doubt. There's probably about 200 people in this room and everybody's got an opinion. Probably all of y'all got an opinion. The point I'd like to make is that Prop A, for the credibility of the city leadership, was a disaster. Folks did not believe what the experts and what city leaders told them, and they rejected Prop A. We want to avoid the same deal. I got my opinion on this, but I'm not going to tell you what I think. But what I'm going to recommend is you do another PR campaign like you did on Prop A. But the Prop A campaign problem was, you said, here's the solution, like it or lump it. On the desal deal, you've got lots of options, and you need to bring the city along with you on these options. In other words, why do we need more water? What's the options if we don't have any? How much do we need? What are the sources of water? There's various sources besides desal. All of them got positive and negatives. Bring us along on the journey. In desal, there's several options of how you can do desal. Bring us along, show us the options. Pricing, there's various options what you can do on pricing. All of these things got advantages and disadvantages. Don't do another top-down approach. Do an approach where you show us the options and you say, hey gang, this is what our options are. You lay them out, and then you make the choice and you say, hey, this is why we think that this is the best thing to do for the people of Corpus Christi. You got 200 people in here maybe, all of them got a set opinion. But we got 300,000 people out there that, you think they know everything about it, but they don't. Inform us, show us the options, and then show us why you're choosing the right path forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Flanagan. Patricia Jones. Patricia
Jones, 4334 St. George Drive. I'm here today because I strongly oppose the planned Inner Harbor desalination plant. The plant would discharge tens of millions of gallons of salty brine per day back into Corpus Christi Bay. It would be an environmental disaster, devastating to fishing, birding, recreation, and tourism. The Hillcrest residents have said they don't want this plant, as it would threaten the health, safety, and well-being of their community. Public hearings have not been held in the Hillcrest neighborhood. There is a pending Title VI complaint against the city from this neighborhood. Desalination is the most costly of water options. It would cost more than recycled water and many more times than reservoir water. The desal plant would be for the benefit of heavy industry, and yet residents would be expected to pay for it in higher taxes and higher water bills. Final cost of the desal plant could run into millions of dollars. The money instead could be better spent on repairing the city's aging water infrastructure. Drought and water scarcity are the norm here in South Texas. It's every citizen's duty to conserve water. However, industry is held to a much lower standard with regard to water conservation. For decades, residents have been paying at a significantly higher rate for water than industry. Industry should be paying for water at the same rate that residents pay. In a drought contingency plan, exemptions for high volume water users should end. Also, in a drought contingency plan, industry should curtail their water usage at the same rate as residents. Bay water desalination is not a good solution to our area's water needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jones. Peter Moore. Peter Moore? Is Peter Moore here? Yeah.
My name is Peter Moore. I live at 15110 Leeward Drive, apartment 301, Corpus Christi. I'm a historian, and I speak today as a friend of the Hillcrest Residents Association, whose historic neighborhood could be destroyed if this desal plant is approved. The Hillcrest neighborhood contains at least two significant historic sites. One is New Bayview Cemetery, an extension of Old Bayview with graves dating back to the 19th century. The other is Crossley Elementary School. This building is just shy of 100 years old, making it one of the two oldest school buildings in the district. Crossley played an important role in the history of school desegregation in Corpus Christi. The Hillcrest Residents Association has a dream of renovating and restoring this building and turning it into a community center. According to the City of Corpus Christi's Landmark Commission web viewer, a historical resources survey identified Crossley as a high priority for historic preservation. The facade of the original 1926 building is still intact and has a very nice segmented arched entranceway with a pediment. Moreover, in the city's 2021 Historic Preservation Plan, a survey of residents named Hillcrest as one of 12 neighborhoods that should be designated as historic districts. So we have a neighborhood with significant historic properties, a residents association with a dream to preserve these places and revitalize their neighborhood, a city landmark commission that sees this work as a high priority, and the city's own most recent historic preservation plan that recognizes the historical character and significance of Hillcrest. Yet the city council seems intent on erasing this neighborhood and its history to make way for more petrochemical industry development. We should be protecting our cultural heritage and investing in communities, schools, and public health, not leveling neighborhoods to bring in more industries that poison our air and water and use up our natural resources at the taxpayer's expense. I urge you to vote against this desal plan. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. John Weber.
I will speak at the items.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Weber. Donna Moody.
My name is Donna Moody. I live at 6325 Senators Court. I am a relatively new resident to Corpus Christi, and I love it here. I want you to know that. The desal plans, however, are very disturbing to me because, number one, it has nothing to do with the residents. It's about heavy industry. In an area that's already so populated with heavy industry, why are we paying hundreds of millions of dollars to put in a desal plant in the hopes of bringing in more industry? It's going to destroy our beautiful bay. The discharge from desal is going to kill off the live creatures that support our bay. What are we gonna do if people no longer come here for fishing and boating and swimming in our beautiful bay? Desal will destroy it. And then I see on my phone this morning that the city of Corpus Christi is attempting to borrow an additional $535 million because of the increased cost of building this desal plant. So that's over $115 million that you're planning on spending. And then it's of no benefit to the citizens of the city. It doesn't improve our water conditions. It only provides water for heavy industry. Please, vote no. Don't bring that into our bay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Moody. Susie Saldana, Susie Luna Saldana.
I will speak in 5.
Number 5, okay. Justin McKenzie. Justin? Okay. Lamont Taylor.
I'll speak at the item.
Arturo Lima.
Arturo Lima, 317 People Street, Corpus Christi, Texas, 78401. Good morning. I am here today to do my part in expressing how many Corpus Christi residents feel regarding desalination. It has been said that those against the desalination plant are a loud few, but the reality is that many people who oppose this desalination plant cannot be here like I can because it is difficult to take time off work to drive here and wait to give a public comment. I am fortunate to have the flexibility, and I am here because I believe that the desalination plant is not in the best interest of Corpus Christi. As we know, the 30 million gallons of water that the desal plant is expected to produce will go predominantly to industrial use. Even though this desal plant will produce so much water, drought restrictions will continue to be enforced against the residents. Even though this water is not needed by the residents of Corpus Christi because our residential water demand will not increase much in the next 30 years, the desal plant will be paid for with a $500 million loan, which we taxpayers will have to repay. And even though there are many environmental concerns raised by numerous reports, City Council continues to put profits before people. It really feels like City Council is selling the city to big polluters who will contaminate our air and water for their gain and give us back little to nothing to our community. Those of us who oppose building this desal plant are accused of being anti-progress, but I do not believe this is true. It appears that City Council and the residents of Corpus Christi have different visions of the direction the city should take. Our residents and our youth deserve better than the dirty oil jobs that you are also eager to bring to our city. We should be investing in preparing our youth for the jobs of the future like renewable energy, AI, and other technologies. but the jobs they find in this city are in dying industries such as oil, which has caused enormous harm to the coastal band with repeated oil spills and air contamination, which cause our neighbors to get sick. I'm here to ask the council to hold a vote on desalination and respect the will of the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Lima. Alicia Casperdes.
Good afternoon. My name is Alicia Casperdes, and I'm the Executive Officer for the Coastal Bend Home Builders Association, located at 5325 Yorktown, 78413. Our HBA represents over 230 members who employ thousands of workers across the Coastal Bend. I'm here to address two critical issues: our need for alternative water sources and the proposed master plans. Firstly, on the topic of water security, the sustained growth and prosperity of our region are fundamentally linked to the availability of a reliable water source. In light of this, our association firmly supports any initiative that secures a sustainable water supply for our community, now and for future generations. We believe in proactive measures to ensure our area's continued development and success. Turning to master plans. The Builders Association has long supported the city's efforts to develop a new comprehensive master plan. We remain in favor of the current proposals with two key conditions: the establishment of a formal amendment procedure for future necessary modifications, and our support at this time is limited to the conceptual framework of the plans, excluding any associated cost estimates. We appreciate the hard work and dedication of the Development Services team, the third-party consultants, and the SEAC committee in developing these visionary plans. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Jay Gardner.
Hello, Council. Jay Gardner, I live on Sweet Bay in Flower Bluff, and I'm here representing the Island Strategic Action Committee. And actually, we passed a resolution at our last meeting to extend the no-wake zone along Packery Channel. The county is putting up a living shoreline along that edge, and they've asked us to do that. We've looked at this probably every other year at ISAC, and it's time to extend that. Everybody sees a wreck at that dog leg every year, so we're gonna recommend that you guys take that up and look at extending the wake zone. There's a lot of other good stuff going on at ISAC. As you guys know, mobility plan. Peter, I wanna thank you for staff's time and attention on a lot of these things that are going out on the island. And thanks. And then the next speaker is actually Bob Corbett, who is a subcommittee leader, and we have another recommendation for you guys on some FEMA flood elevation issues that we've been looking at on the island with some infill lots. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner. Bob Corbett.
Hi, I'm Bob Corbett. I live at 13530 Carlos 5th Court on the island. And I am heading up a subcommittee on ISAC to look at this persistent problem on the island that originated about 6 years ago when the base flood elevation was increased by 3 feet. And so now we have houses adjacent, older homes built 3 feet higher. They're on foundations 3 feet higher than the adjacent property. Typically, we have 5-foot setbacks, so a 3-foot higher property across 5 feet with drainage results in about a 30-degree slope coming off the foundation. And so the adjacent properties are being flooded. So what's put in effect to alleviate flooding is actually backfiring in these areas where the newer homes are adjacent to older homes. So we did a lot of interviews, we did a lot of drive-bys of new construction when it's next to old construction, and we see the problem with these slopes. Did a lot of research also into the Unified Development Code. There's a Texas state water code that prohibits modifying your property in any way that would change the water flow and inundate an adjacent property. So, that's something to look at. And so anyway, we made a simple recommendation. We'd like to turn it into a resolution, and we hope to, have your continued support in this area. The recommendation so far is a simple one. It's just to limit the slope, the runoff slope from your property, the edge of your foundation to the property line, limited to 10%, which would be typically, so for 60 inches, a 5-foot setback, that would be about a 10-inch drop, where the water would run off gradually. It can come down along the property line into the street or back into the canal, and not just run over and form a dam in the adjacent property. So that's about it. We just, at some point in the near future, we'll have a resolution prepared that will request that the Unified Development Code be modified to limit the runoff slope to 10%. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Corbett. Henry Williams.
Mayor, City Council, City Manager, I'm here with regard to the desalination and items in the agenda. Items K 3 through 9. You all will be voting on these items today. And I would ask you to not approve these items. We're just all in on the desalination project, and it should be renamed the Hillcrest Desalination Project, because it's going to be in the Hillcrest neighborhood. Okay, and the water source, okay, it's going to be the water and the Corpus Christi ship camp. This should not be the source of water to heal the problems of the water of the sea. Okay, water would, you all have obtained the water rights permit. And you all have also obtained, indeed, the permit to place the waste back into the city channel. Ultimately, it's going to get into the Corpus Christi Bay. What we do not want to see is neighborhood destroyed or the bay contaminated and the sea life. That is what I am speaking toward today, but not only that. You see, I personally, I am a fourth generation Corpus Christi. I did not come from another place to Corpus Christi. My father, my grandfather, okay, generations, okay, of my relations were born here. We have a vision for the city of Corpus Christi that it live up to its name, the body of Christ. We must come together and learn to work together for the good of each other and see each other as one people. See the Hillcrest neighborhood, indeed, as a neighborhood that can and must be rebuilt. And I would like to ask that you indeed come alongside with us to rebuild. Find a source, a true source, indeed, to deal with the problems of the water that can be dealt with indeed successfully. And we certainly are in favor of, I hear the buzzer, we're certainly in favor, of the healing of the problems of water in our city, but we do not believe that is a viable source. Thank you very much.
Reverend Williams, will you please state your address for the record? I'm sorry, sir.
Can you state your address?
Excuse me?
Can you state your address?
For the record.
Henry Williams, 2422 Southern Street, Corpus, Christi, the Hillcrest neighborhood.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Alexis Wong? Is Alexis
I
here?
think she's gonna do it on the web.
She's not here?
WebEx.
Oh, okay, all right. Rebecca, do you have that?
No, ma'am, we don't show her signed up for WebEx.
Okay. Dorothy Pena?
Dorothy Pena, 2114 Meadow Pass Drive. So the city secretary office has not published the notice of application and preliminary decision for industrial wastewater permit. So I guess there was a paper that was received on the 17th from TCEQ that was dated the 12th of 2024. So per the TCEQ's request, the city should publish the notice as soon as possible, but no later than 45 days, which would be February 26th. At which point, then the public has the ability to make a comment about, their fears about desal or their concerns. So I guess I'm curious and I'm excited to see that permit, and I'm hoping that it'll also be in Spanish. I don't know if that's possible, or how you all make sure that that information, those permits are in Spanish and accessible for all people. I also want to say that I am opposed to this project, obviously. I don't think creating more complex systems for a complex system is very wise. Doing something as complex as desal, and this is just one potential desalination project on top of 3 others. That doesn't seem like a very ecological thing to do. And doing some research as far as how salinity changes the currents and flows of water, which then affect the entire world. This is not just a concern for our community, it's a global concern. This is a complex system that we're trying to, that we will affect by our decision making. And we keep talking about the future and how concerned we are about it, but this could have devastating impacts for many generations, not only in our community, but globally. So taking responsibility for that, it's our community's responsibility to stand up and protect this water, as much as we are asking you to do the same for us, your representatives. I also am against this simply because the type of narrative that has been created around it, that we need this water for the people, and creating derision in the Hillcrest community with African American community members, telling them that we need this water, and making it seem as though they are the ones that are holding us back from having water to drink. So I think the first person that spoke made a really great point as far as the way you've gone about trying to promote desal to our community. You have thrown a community under the bus, Hillcrest community, and you've thrown the ecology of the bay under the bus. And we know that it's not for us. We know it's for industry. We don't use millions of gallons of water a day.
Thank you, Ms. Binion. Joseph Lewis? Is Joseph Lewis here? Okay. Joseph is not here. Armand Alex?
Hi folks, my name is Armand Alex. I live at 1610 La Jolla Street in District 3. I'm here as a lifelong resident to voice my opposition to the city pursuing a desalination plant. I can only speak from my personal experience here. My background is mostly in science, communications, environmental policy. I've had the privilege of working on environmentally related bills, legislation, as well as initiatives in other coastal communities along the Gulf of Mexico and other states in the US, as well as abroad with other governments. Many of these being successful, ranging from the 30 by 30 international movement around recognition and establishment of MPAs or marine protected areas, with the State Department toxic chemical regulation legislation in Alaska, and a high seas treaty that is currently being ratified on an international scale, just to name a few. I come before you with a wealth of knowledge and experience working with governments to bring about equitable, safe, and sustainable policies that rejuvenate local economies and protect and strengthen community health. Many of these have been successful because of the standards and the ways of process and community relations. With this in mind, never in my time as an expert in working with governments around environmental policy or initiatives have I had difficulty with establishing sound policy and equitable projects. That is until engaging with the city of Corpus Christi and this council and the council before, unfortunately. It seems as though this council has a habit of putting profits before people, putting politics before people, and putting pandering to industry before people, including polluters over people. And all of those arrangements, the people come last. This desalination plant the city is pursuing stays committed to this habitual behavior. Our entire city is being put last because we know this plant and the water created is for industry first and only a slim amount for the people of Corpus Christi. And the neighborhood, the Hillcrest neighborhood, is being put last because of the negative impacts on their community as well. It is not too late to reverse these actions that can be categorized as environmental racism. This does not need to be this council's legacy. There's still time to rectify what could become the biggest blunder in your tenure. I urge you to reconsider going down this road and listen to what your constituents are saying today. Follow the leadership of governments and the people of this land first that put people before profits, that put people before politics, that put people over polluters, that put people before pandering to perpetuators of the climate crisis. No desal development. Hillcrest deserves better.
Thank you, Mr. Alex. Mark Munster.
Hi, my name is Mark Munster. I live at 2921 Airline in Corpus Christi. I've been born and raised here. I'm here in opposition to both desalination plants. I don't believe the city should spend more money that they don't have for this project. I don't believe that the economic development and the benefits that are proposed that are going to be the benefits of this project are really the best options for the people that actually live here. This is a solution to problems created due to mismanagement and giving to demands of these big polluting companies. This is not worth the potential environmental impacts on the bay that makes Corpus what it is, why people like to live here. And this also affects the Hillcrest community that many have talked about. It's an injustice to the people that live there. They're still a church, and as a community, they should have the same respect that any other neighborhood in Corpus Christi would get. And yeah, that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Munster. Jacqueline Curry.
Hello, I'm Dr. Jacqueline Curry from East Virginia Health. I live and work in this community. My family relies on industry for our livelihood, as do hundreds of my colleagues who work locally. I'd like to give public comment in support of desalination with the perspective that it is an investment for our community rather than for industry. Our area has a growing economy, which encourages young families to remain in the region, further strengthening our local businesses for both current and future generations. Roadblocking water availability efforts will not hurt corporations. They will find other investment opportunities. But this region will struggle to find the funds to sustain, let alone improve infrastructure. Over the course of the past years, the city has been able to improve infrastructure, expediting road repairs, building and parks improvements, and more. These improvements are made possible in part by the same industries that employ many of our city's residents. Bringing new technology with potential environmental impacts to the region can be intimidating. But if we continue to stall developmental progress and drain our natural resources, we will end up backing ourselves into a corner, and our community is the one who will pay the price. The city has relied on the expertise of numerous agencies intellectual capital in the region to do desal right and continue to work to solve resource challenges while protecting the natural environment, which is an important element of quality of life and economic prosperity for the region. The region needs sustainable, drought-resistant, and diversified water sources to ensure prosperity for residents and industry alike. Desalination can fulfill this need. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Curry. Blanca Parkinson?
Parkinson, 10801 Silverton Drive, Corpus Christi, Texas. First of all, Mr. Flanagan, these are facts. Take them to the bank, not opinions. All of you, look at that piece of paper in front of you, look at those numbers, put them in your head, and learn them. The figure that you are putting out in public right now was for the 30 MGD plant in 2018, and it's published in the Regional Water Development Plan. So that figure that you all are giving us was for the 30 million MGD plant back in 2018. The quarter billion plant back in 2018 was a 10 MGD plant. So somebody's lying. Are we building a 10 MGD plant or are we building a 30 MGD plant? Because if we're building a 10 MGD plant, shut up about the drought, okay? That's not gonna fix lake levels. That's not gonna get us off drought restrictions. That's not gonna do anything except give somebody play money. If we're building a 30 MGD plant, say the truth. It's over $1 billion right now by your math, all right? Put that KRIS, KIII, caller time, publish that. It's over $1 billion. Or you know what? Don't publish it. Keep publishing your idiot stories because we're having fun telling people what you all are doing. Did you think we weren't gonna see these numbers? Did you think we weren't gonna catch it? That this gangster right here was gonna pull it as the wool over our eyes? And you, per a retired chemical engineer, petrochemical engineer with 40 years in the petrochemical industries, I quote, I have never in my 40-year career seen such piss, poor, pathetic, upfront engineering. So take that to the bank. Why am I mad? Because you're monkeying around, you're farting around, you're promising water that we do not have. And what's gonna happen 10 years down the road, when our kids have no water and they're paying these loans and these industries are making them beg for water? Quit selling us out. What are you gonna do? You're driving us off a cliff, you're making water deals, and we all know they're in perpetuity, and this dude's not gonna fix that. Has Miles been able to undo any of the in perpetuity contracts? No. So yeah, we're mad. And you know what? Like I said, local news, don't publish it. We're just getting warmed up, and we're having fun exposing you. Look at those numbers, put them in your head, and learn them, so you can at least be worthy opponents when we come in here.
Thank you, Ms. Parkinson.
You're welcome.
Don Osborne.
Hi, my name is Don Osborne. I reside at 1605 Christina. I'm here in opposition to the desalination plant. Desalination is not a solution to water shortages. It is expensive and environmentally destructive. Moreover, its downsides will, like so many other greenwash technologies, impact struggling communities the hardest. Corpus Christi Bay is an estuary, a place where fresh and salt water mix with an average depth of 11 feet and a general circulation flow of counterclockwise. The only saltwater exchange is at Port Aransas Ship Channel, and the only freshwater inlets are in Oasis River and Oasis Creek, and Oso Creek. Disposal of brine or brine management is very crucial to the desalination process. Its discharge can cause severe impacts on the environment and ecosystems since it contains microbial disinfections, byproducts such as scavengers and biocides, and coagulants like ferric chloride, aluminum, heavy metals such as iron, copper, chromium, nickel, molybdenum, I can't say that, and who knows what else. I have worked as a hydroplaster in cleaning those oil storage tanks, and they don't make you wear the full body protective gear with respirators for no reason. It is a dirty, dirty, chemical-filled substance. Unrefined and refined oil contains many harmful chemicals, and there have been more than just a few oil spills in the ship channel. Conventional brine discharge methods, such as discharge into surface water, seawater, deep well injection, land application, and environmental ponds, can adversely affect marine ecosystems and soil quality owing to the presence of the above-mentioned constituents that can induce salinity variations, pH fluctuations, temperature changes, etc. Saltwater is more dense than freshwater and will sink below freshwater, leaving freshwater on the surface to become warmer, causing greater evaporation, again rising the salinity levels. During times of drought, lack of fresh water further increases salinity. The increase of salinity reduces the amount of dissolved oxygen that can be held suspended in the water. And it does not take a scientist to figure out the effects that lower dissolved oxygen, higher temperatures, increased heavy metals, and pollutants have on the enclosed water system. I could not think of a worse location than the ship channel to place a desalination plant unless it is to clean up an already continuously polluted waterway that displaces historically black neighborhoods for the benefit of industrial polluters, increases demand on electrical grid, and benefits only bad faith corporate neighbors that do not pay their fair share of taxes, leaving our community in financial hardship. Say no
to more corporate welfare.
Barbara
Say no to
Canales.
desal.
Barbara Canales.
Good morning. Barbara Canales, 4920 Ocean Drive. I reviewed all relevant public testimony in the TCEQ contested case hearings for Corpus desal permit for CC Bay and the Inner Harbor are mentioned to prepare for my statement here today. I have served for over a decade on the Coastal Bend Bays and Estuaries Board and even served as vice chairman. I am very concerned about the adverse impact the city's proposed Inner Harbor desalination discharge will have on marine life in the Corpus Christi Bay. When asked about several city proposed sites, Dr. Greg Stuntz, executive director from the Harbor Institute, stated, the city wanted us to consider various options, including Inner Harbor. Here's what he said: you know, we wouldn't recommend none of these sites if we had our choice. I don't recommend, and I still don't recommend, that desalination occur with an estuarine system inside a barrier island. I've been consistent every time I've given a statement. Why do scientists not support Inner Harbor location for desal? Because you can only have sufficient dilution of the heavy brine discharge if you have sufficient water exchange. The Inner Harbor water exchange is once every 1.4 years, compared to Corpus ship channel, which is twice every day. This is a bad location. The city's own technical manual confirms tidal velocity at 0.0057 meters per second. That's 68 feet per hour. Common sense and science should tell you cannot discharge a heavy brine into a stagnant body of water and expect it to disperse. It will accumulate. Now, the city needed to do proper far field modeling, not near field modeling, CORMIT, which is stated in that memorandum. But the Port of Corpus Christi has prepared far field modeling, and you need to ask for that report and see for yourself and show the public what the far field modeling shows. You should table these items today because you need further information that's been kept from you. And until you look at this report, you cannot assure the public of the integrity of this project. Not to mention, in your technical memorandum, and I cannot believe this, the diffuser will be located within the navigational channel, 32 feet depth. How can you do this and not interfere with ship traffic? It's irresponsible. We do need water, and we should pursue, but we don't need to make a bad decision about the location of a desal facility and ruin our economic engine, our bays and estuaries in the process. Promote it in the best location. Texas is counting on it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Canales. Maggie Peacock.
Maggie Peacock, 1773 in Strassen. I want to emphasize, as another community member did, that these meetings are incredibly inaccessible. I'm able to be here today because I'm currently not taking classes and I have a flexible job, but that is not the case for most students and working class people for whom this desal project will disproportionately disenfranchise. I wish I could get inside the brains of all of you who are pushing so heavily for desal, because I really do not understand. I do not understand how y'all are okay with the desal plant killing our bay. One of my first memories here in Corpus is walking along the bay at night and hearing dolphins, and it was so magical. And we will never be able to hear that again. I know many of y'all have kids and grandkids, possibly great-grandkids, I don't know. Do y'all want them to enjoy this place we call home? Also, desal will wipe out all of the life in the bay, kill the fishing industry, kill the tourism industry, which all of these things generate money for the city, so again, I simply do not understand. I do not understand why you are all pushing so hard for environmental injustice. This is what you are going to be known for, environmental racism. No Hillcrest residents are pushing for desalination, and this is where you want to build this facility. I cannot comprehend in my brain how cool that is, that you all are building this desal plant and not listening to the Hillcrest residents. I do not understand how community members are bearing the brunt of this cost, and yet the water produced from this plant is for industry, not for the people. And you all know this. Do not pursue desalination. I really want to talk about the intersectionalities of all these problems, how fossil fuels are contributing to the climate crisis, which is leading to more water scarcity, and desal will just perpetuate the climate crisis. But I know when we talk about that, many of y'all just tune out. Do what is right for the people. That is why you all are in these seats, not to exploit this place. I love Corpus Christi, and I love these people that live here, and that's why I listen to them, that's why I find community in them, that's why I find home in them. I wish you all would do the same. This is not a complex issue, and that's what people with money and privilege want you to believe. I'll say it one more time, do what is right for the people. It's so beautiful to see so many community members standing up. If y'all continue to push for desal, that shows y'all's true colors and who you are as a person and public official. It's so infuriating that so many community members come together and speak out against this, and y'all might just still continue to do business as usual. I simply do not understand. I cannot wrap my head around it. No desal, the status quo has got to go.
Thank you, Ms. Peacock. Dr. Nancy Vera?
Oh my goodness. Mayor, City Council members, I'm here to oppose the agenda item, the desal item that you're going to vote on today. About, I'd say a good 20 years ago.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Dr. Nancy Betta, 4405 Carlton Street, 78415. I met with a city leader, and he told me, so I went in there saying, you know, I need money to help people. And he said, go call the industry, get a hold of the industry. They give to the community a smidgen of the money that they make. They can do better. A few years later, the Collar Times called an editorial board meeting with what used to be the Hispanic Advisory Committee for the Collar Times. And the editorial board asked me and other community members if we would support another industry, another company. And I said, wait a minute, you're saying that it's going to bring jobs and it's going to be a great thing. But in the 33 years that I have lived in this city, I guess I was 33 at the time, I said, I have not seen any of that trickle down to our West Side neighborhoods, to our poverty-stricken, homeless children. And I certainly haven't seen it go to the children in our public schools. That is why now we are struggling to get changing tables for pre-K 3-year-olds in the Corpus Christi Independent School District. All of these social ills manifest in our schools. If the industry is really serious about getting these breaks, then they should do their part and give back to the community, which they have proven over and over again that they have not. Why should we, as taxpayers, as human beings, believe that this is going to benefit our community when I haven't seen any of that in the last, I've lived here for, now I'm 60 years old. So I suggest that you please not give this gift to industry out of the pockets of taxpayers. It's the wrong thing to do. Let's help our homeless population. Let's help our children, our poverty-stricken families, domestic abuse programs, and all those programs that we so desperately need. Have the industry pay for it, because they still don't want to pay for the water. Let them pay for humanity, unless you want us to pay with our own lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bennett. Francis Morey? Is Francis Morey with us? Francis Morey? No. Okay, Eli McKay.
Thanks for bringing that mic down, Nancy. Hi, everyone. My name is Eli McKay, and like all of you, I live on the land of the Karankawa and Lipan Apache peoples at what is now 1008 Marguerite Street in District 1. I didn't really prepare anything today. You know, I normally do. I'm a planner. But I'm here just to come speak to you and do what I always try to do and bring really positive energy to the room. It is really nice to see the community coming together around this issue, even despite our differences. I kind of want to talk about, I don't know if y'all have read 1984, but I would hope that most of you have. A quote from that book is that he who controls the past controls the future. And so I want to talk about the past a little bit. I was kind of trying to figure out what I was going to say today, and I was looking through some of my notes from things I've said in the past, and I happened to come across a public comment that I made back August 31st of 2021. My comments then, just like today, are against this reckless desalination project. And in this comment, I spoke about a presentation that the council was given in October of 2020 that went over options for water. They went over, obviously, desalination, they went over reuse, they went over groundwater. Most of y'all probably remember those presentations, I hope. I'll say what I said then again. I believe that the groundwater and reuse made a heck of a lot more sense for our community. Not only were they less expensive, but faster. We might, I mean, that was 2021, so it's been a few years since we were having this conversation before. And since then, the dollar amount has more than doubled of what was needed. So there's a quote from Peter Zanoni in the September Caller Times of 2020, and he said, and I quote, "For the rest of the $211 million, the average residential city utility customer rate is projected to increase from $1.82 to $3.12 a month by 2028. And I wish I would have had time to see what our current rates are, but it is amazing to see how things change and how costs continue to go up. Former CEO of CWW, Mike Murphy, said right now, if we build the desal plant, it's mostly for commercial use and there's not a benefit for residents on the south side. I would say there's not a benefit for most residents, regardless of what side of town you live on. Darn, that 3 minutes goes fast when you're not prepared with a long speech. So I guess that's my time, and I'll speak with y'all later on. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McKay. Victoria Holland.
My name is Victoria Holland. I live at 235 Ohio Avenue, and it's a pleasure to be here today. Sorry I had to wait while I walked the long way in town the whole way. I want to speak today about our water rate model. Because what concerns me is, I agree, we need more water, and I think desalination will have to be part of that. This particular project, I think, is not it. I think it's a bad idea. I am concerned about how this rate model is going to be affected by this particular plant, and I'm most concerned about the fact that it will, at best, at most, only produce $30,000 at 30 million barrels. It's capped. It's always going to be capped, but the costs can and will increase. I did some research on just how much the maintenance fees had an impact on rates, not the build cost for these things, not the payment on the loans, just the maintenance alone, replacing the membranes on reverse osmosis desalination plants. And the Texas government did a great study and put that out. And it is currently, for reverse osmosis desalination, anywhere between about $1.50 to $2.50 added to the ratepayers for that type of deal. Now, okay, take that and put it in a saltwater environment, which hasn't been done before. So what's the cost gonna be? And I'm just talking sustainment costs. Everything I've looked at talks about the cost to build, talks about the water we get, but I don't see the sustainment cost built in. I would really love to see that. I don't see any type of points specifically made about what we're gonna do for water once it's built. If industry has grown at all, if population and industry have grown, we'll need more water. Will we have the funds then to build a bigger, better desalination plant then? It's not scalable. It's not scalable. Many people have made the point that ecologically, it's got problems, it's got issues. And finally, it's not the end-all be-all solution that we need for water in this area. Listen, y'all, we can't shut industry down, because then jobs go away and then people leave. We've got to have a solution that's scalable and is functional, not just for the next few years once it's able to get built, but is really one that we can ramp up if need be, for not just for ourselves, but for our surrounding communities. And I don't have anything else to say. Thank y'all, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Ms. Holland. Isabel Isa? Isabel?
She's on the item.
The item?
Yeah, she's speaking on the item.
Rachel Caballero.
Go ahead and give one to Miles.
Good afternoon, Rachel Caballero, 522 Hancock. Good afternoon, elected community representatives, and our community taxpayer-funded employees. Here we are again. We thought Prop A was a disaster. The community had to come out and teach you all a lesson for not including any of us in that decision-making during the November election. Did you all not learn from it? Did you all not hear us? Apparently not, because here we are again listening to pie-in-the-sky dreams when we have an infrastructure that is failing and streets that are equivalent to third world country streets. City Manager Zanoni, I'm not sure how you were raised, but here in Texas, and especially in Corpus Christi, we are a community. We've been sitting by hoping that you, an out-of-towner, would understand this concept. But I guess that's hard to do with weekly, weekend travels away and luncheons and dinners at the yacht club. What is happening today is neither transparent nor is it good for our community. Sold out politicians are lying and forcing this experimental and extremely costly sham onto the community. For the record, we never chose to be a petrochemical town. We were forced to partially become one because elected community members had no backbone to say no and actually protect and represent our community. You are going to hear from many corrupt and self-serving, greedy, pro-desal activists. They have personal interests in this and have been removed from their public positions. Do not listen to these soulless people. We are and will always be a community first. This is our town, and it belongs to us and no one else. We are a coast community first, and we will remain that way, even if that means replacing every single one of you, including the city manager and the city attorney. We are demanding that you all take this to the community for a vote, as it should have always been from the beginning. We want our Corpus Christi Bay to be just that, our bay, not an industrial dumping ground. Our community is not up for sacrifice. Our bay is not up for sacrifice. Our sea life is not up for sacrifice. Our way of life here is not up for sacrifice. We are no longer up for sacrifice to fund multi-billion-dollar for-profit corporations' needs that will not benefit the community. These items on the table today are moral decisions. We are all here to take note in how you all are going to move forward. Do not let out-of-town foreigners distract you from your obligation to protect this community. We elected you to do what is right for us, and any divergence from that will result in the replacement of you all come November. The gloves are off now.
Thank you, Ms. Caballero. Victoria Rogers.
My name is Victoria Rogers. I live at 15837 Bernadine Drive out on the island. It's not fair for me to go after her. But my biggest point, I haven't heard enough of it said, is this the amount of electricity that this desal is going to take. And I'm really concerned. Just last week on the island, the electricity went out, and it was just a minor freeze. I mean, if it's too hot, the electricity goes out. If it's too cold, the electricity goes out. If the wind blows, the electricity goes out. What are we going to do when we bring in this plan? And everything I've read just talks about a substantial drain on utility, and that's my point. Everybody else has said everything else. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rogers. And that question will, along with the rest of them, will be answered in the presentation. Brian Gully.
My name is Brian Gully. I'm a lifelong resident here. I live currently at 14202 Playa del Rey on the island. My background in this desal situation, I guess, goes all the way back in the 70s when I graduated in graduate instrument college in oceanography at the University of Texas Marine Science Institute, of which I still sit on the science advisory board there. Recently termed out 2 terms as president of the Coastal Bays and Estuaries. I work closely with Port of Corpus Christi and Sarah Garza and the permitting Christi. So I'm very much concerned with the environment. And I've had the good fortune of being able to travel around the world and look at a lot of different desal facilities. I've visited all the biggest ones in Israel. I visited one in Barcelona, which is similar to what we built here. And I spent a lot of that time talking to the engineers and the people that have built some of the 3,000 saltwater desal plants that serve around the world. It's not a hoax. It's scientifically doable. It is not going to be the cheapest water. I think we all know that water is probably going to cost us somewhere around wherever it's built, half again more than the water that we get from surface water. However, all our other options are not scalable, as the lady said. You need something that we can expand when we need it, and if we're going to borrow $750 million to build a plant, it needs to be bigger or in an area that doesn't affect the environment. It needs to be in an area that is expandable and is scalable. Because of that, everyone I've talked to around the world says several things about desal, and this is my takeaway. Number one, if you're going to do it and do it cheap, you need to do it big. So the bigger it is, the cheaper it is the cost per 1,000 gallons. It needs to be built as close as you can get it to the ocean, because the salt water needs to be back where salt water goes and be redistributed back in the ocean. And because of that, I'm very concerned about the location in the Inner Harbor. And I've said this many times before. Very much want to work with the city of Corpus Christi. Drew, Molly, and I have had many discussions. I respect them immensely, and we agree on almost everything. But I think we're going down the wrong road if we don't think longer term. And the meetings we've had as past chairman of the Forest Long Range Planning Committee, we look 20, 30, 40 years down the road. And if we're going to be able to keep the industry with the water they need so they don't take water away from the citizens, I will tell you that these people that are coming, that want to come here, that can't come without water, are the energy transition companies who want to produce hydrogen, which is a no-carbon form of energy. If we're going to do that for our environment, it's a very water-intensive prospect, and those people can't come unless we give them water. I will also tell you, after conversations with them, is that they will pay for the water that they need themselves, even if it costs more. So, Inner Harbor is not the best place to build that. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Kelly. Deanna King.
I'm here to address the city council on the desal matter. I currently live in the Crestmont area, zip code 78415. I didn't intend to talk today. I intended to just sit back and not say anything. But I am a product of the Hillcrest area. I was born in Hillcrest, pretty much raised in Hillcrest till about the age of 12. And then my family decided to move to the south side. But I still had family that lived in the Hillcrest area. Actually, my grandmother, who is 93 years old right now, she was uprooted to have to go to the south side because of what's going on with industry. My grandmother and her sister were the first African-American family to integrate in the Hillcrest area. And it's disheartening that this city has come to not invest in people, but invest in industry. I look all over America today, and anytime there's growth, there's always got to be growth in the African-American communities or the minority communities. I never thought that would exist here in Corpus Christi, and I never thought that this would happen in Corpus Christi. So by y'all votes today tells me that y'all gonna either get in line with the rest of the country or y'all gonna invest in people. I know my pastor, he did a sermon this weekend about David and Goliath. People of Hillcrest is David, and Goliath is the industry. And your vote will make a determination on what side you're on. But I'm going to tell you, It may pass today, and if it does, I'm gonna let you know that eventually David does win.
Thank you, Ms. King. Alice Upshaw Hawkins.
Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning.
City Councilman. First of all, my name is Alice Upshaw Hawkins. I live at 3605 Cottonwood Street in Corpus Christi, Texas, zip 78411. First of all, I'd like to offer my thanks and congratulations for what you did for the homeless people in our city during the freeze. I was elated. I was watching the news. I was so elated to know that you had the forethought and the energy and the inclination to think about people who were less fortunate than we were, who had our thermostats jacked up to 80 degrees. So thank you for that. I'm here to speak on the desalination issue. First of all, I'm asking you to vote against that. The Hillcrest area where you are proposing to put this desalination plant, or whatever you want to call it, is unconscionable in the back door of a neighborhood. Some of you don't address Hillcrest as a neighborhood anymore. However, we still have citizens living in those locations. The desalination plant is one of the most expensive options for water source. Right now, as of late, we know that the price tag has grown to $500 million. And the taxpayers ultimately will bear that burden. We know that there is no improvement in our community, that no matter how you spend it and it's paid for, ultimately the taxpayer bears the bill. This type of project is not popular. I believe, if I'm correct, that there's only 3 desalination plants in America. And so, with that said, if this is the right thing to do, why aren't others doing it? We know that water is a problem everywhere. We know that climate change is creating those problems for us. So I'm asking you to take a step back. And as so many that have come before me talked about the future, please don't do what Rip Van Winkle did. Went up to the mountain, fell asleep for 20 years. And when he woke up, he told the same stories. But the revolutions had come and gone. Please don't have our young people that are to come, those of you who have family members, young people, young children, don't have them lamenting the fact that 20 years ago we made this decision. Please vote against the initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hawkins. Al Ariola.
Good afternoon, Mayor, City Council. Al Ariola, 301 Middle East Drive. I'm here representing the United Corpus Christi Chamber of Commerce. The United Corpus Christi Chamber of Commerce Executive Committee firmly remains committed to our organization's position from 2020 and believes that supporting the development of alternative water sources, including saltwater desalination, is crucial to ensuring the growth of our city and entire region. The significance of this matter cannot be overstated, considering the unique challenges our region faces in terms of water scarcity. The United Chamber recognizes the need for an adequate, reliable, affordable, predictable, and growing water supply to ensure a healthy economic climate for small businesses and families to thrive in the coastal bend. We urge collaboration with our regional partners to attain a sustainable and dependable future for our water resources. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Ariola. Darcy Schroeder.
Good afternoon, Darcy Schrader, 409 Dolphin Place. For the past decade, I've watched as the city has studied and then restudied and then discussed and then represented water supply projects. It's time to move forward with one that can provide this region with a drought-proof water supply. Seawater desalination has been done in communities around the world. It's technology that has been repeatedly tested. I've heard numerous comments with this us versus them rhetoric that local industry is not a part of this community, which is inaccurate. Some of us in this room currently, like myself, or have previously worked for one of our local industrial companies. I know others in this room who have relatives, sons, daughters, neighbors, friends, who work at one of the local plants. We make a variety of products, everything from transportation fuel to refrigerant that we all need in the summers. Local industry is a big part of this community. Its employees and contractors live here, have kids in the schools. We shop here, we dine at the restaurants, we fill the hotels. We contribute significantly to the local economy. Water is important to all of us. It's time to move forward on a viable supply project that will protect this entire community and ensure the continued economic health and benefits for all of us. Yes, seawater desalination is expensive. Unfortunately, here in South Texas though, it is the drought-proof water supply project that we should and need to be considering. And so I hope you will vote to move forward today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schrader. Brian Keeble.
Hello, I'm Brian Keeble. I'm CEO of B3 Acquisitions, and I'm at 4350 Ocean Drive. The desalination plant, this is a vital thing that we absolutely have to have for tourism to come, for everything else to come. What people don't understand is that this increases our total overall supply. Even if, which this isn't going to be the case, but even if industry got every last drop, that frees up our reservoirs for us to have. Though we currently rely on rain, essentially. Everyone says that this is so expensive. I'm not normally involved in such projects that are so inexpensive. This is cheap. Oh my God, this is cheap. In 2014, San Antonio spent $3.4 billion on a 142-mile pipeline to Burleson County to get about 40 million gallons per day. We're only going to spend $500 million, and it's literally feet away. If San Antonio is going 142 miles away, how far do we have to go? 250, 350, 450 away to get immediate water? You know, miles cannot change the contracts. If this goes sideways in negotiations with them, they paid what they were contractually agreed upon. If it goes sideways, congratulations. Now we're in federal court at $1 million, $2 million a month in attorney's fees for specialized attorneys to fight this for a decade. And then a federal judge can say, oh, you know what, they're not getting enough water and they're paying too much. Well, let's go ahead and spend this, honestly, a trivial amount of money over time to get a viable resource right here. And the discharge permit's already in place for very near the ship channel, which changes water twice a day. Wherein lies the problem? I deal with hundreds of companies that want to be here. Within the second question is about water, and most of them are not going to be heavy water users, hotels, things like that. But it's still very important to them. We need to be very forward thinking, and actually, if we're going to do anything, make it bigger. Anyway, thank you for your time, and I appreciate everything that you do.
Thank you, Mr. Keeble. Bob Paulison, and then Albert Sertuche, and then we will go to our WebEx.
Mayor, I'm going to speak during the item 3.
Item 3, okay. Albert Sertuche.
My name is Albert Sertuche. I live at 3601 Cub Street. Good morning, City Council members. I am here to talk about the desalination plant that y'all are planning to put in our waterways. I am owner of Hardline's Bait and Tackle, A to Z Tackle Distributing. I also have a TikTok, YouTube channel, and Instagram where everybody will be following along with us with the events that are happening now. Big Corp is wanting us to set up this fund because they don't want to be held responsible for any fallback of anything that is destroyed within the city. If it's approved by us, who are we gonna sue if everything goes sideways? We ain't gonna sue ourselves. Also, this is a initial amount, $500 million for one area. Y'all are talking 5 different areas that y'all are planning to put this in, where several of them are gonna be collaborating together. If you're like me that live near saltwater eats everything. That's just the first initial amount. By the time they even get halfway done with creating this monstrosity, it's gonna be a lot more. You're just asking for this. You're writing an open-ended check that us as taxpayers are gonna be responsible for how long? How long is this gonna go for as saltwater will continue to eat that? That's just talking about the money in the bay. Let's talk about everything that's gonna be coming off of that brine. We use brine to treat baits once they're dead so they last longer. Well, all that's gonna do is make that bait last longer in the bay. And y'all remember what happened with red tide? Half the city was shut down. What about brown tide when that comes back? You're gonna shut down the tourism industry. You're gonna shut down the fishing communities. And those are the 2 biggest money makers for the city of Corpus Christi. And you're willing to play with that money? I'm sorry, I'm not for it. I know everybody else that is behind me is not for it. You can play this money game that, oh, it's only this, and we need it, and we need, y'all can't tell us anything. So I vote to table this 3 through 9 till we receive a lot more information on this, because we're placing that water back into our system is not the answer. It's gonna kill it. And I'm sorry, I'm not gonna stand by while that happens. I know our voters are gonna not stand by while that happens and destroying our local communities. For those whoever are in the pockets of Big Corp, I'm not attacking those workers, because you know without them we can't survive. But again too, if I pay it for a gallon or 1,000 gallons of water at a certain amount, they should be paying the same amount. I'm a small business owner, I'm doing it, why can't they do it? They make $1 million a second. We're all struggling as a city to survive. Everybody is. There ain't a person in this room can say, I'm okay. I know everybody's being hit hard, so don't forget that when y'all try to approve this, and I disapprove of it.
Thank you, Mr. Strategic. This is WebEx.
Yes, ma'am. The next speakers are, on WebEx, the first speaker is Brittany Young.
I signed up online at before 11:30 to speak in public.
Sorry, Mr. Miller, we don't see you on the list. I don't know if there's an issue, but if your name doesn't appear on the list.
Yeah, I had an issue too. I had to come up and tell.
Yes, but you came and explained, but I wasn't aware of any technical issues, Mr. Miller, so I'm so sorry, we don't see you on the list.
It's at the mayor's discretion to allow me to speak.
Well, we go by what's on the list.
It's real sweet, it's kind.
Did we have issues with this?
A couple individuals did tell us ahead of the meeting that they had some problems, so we did help assist them, but I wasn't aware Mr. Miller had an issue until now.
I wasn't aware I had an issue here.
Sorry. Thank you though. Michael Miller, 51 Canyon Place. Mayor and Council, I'm not here to debate the environmental impacts of seawater desalination in the Inner Harbor. I will leave that up to the scientists and authorities having permitting jurisdiction. I'm here again to warn this council about the cost implications of what you're voting on today. Last Thursday, and literally every time I come before you and other entities to speak out against a measure, I remind you all that I bring my comments from a place of compassion for those who have chosen Corpus Christi to build a life and raise their families. The rising cost of living here cannot be ignored, and it is a huge factor in why our population growth is flat or declining. Construction costs are 10 to 15% higher due to windstorm requirements and availability of raw materials. Utility rates, and I'm talking about all utilities, electric, water, everything else, in Corpus are the highest in the state, 30% higher than the national average. Auto insurance is 87% higher than average. Homeowners, windstorm, flood insurance, forget about it. There's a reason why Property and Casualty 360.com listed Corpus Christi, Texas as the #1 city in the nation to be an insurance agent. I agree that we need water, and I also agree that we need industry. But we also need to further evaluate the other options. Seawater desalination is the most expensive option and requires the most energy. The proposed 20 to 30 million gallon per day facility could be easily substituted for a toilet to tap solution for industry processed water only. I've been told that the daily discharge of the two closest wastewater treatment plants, Allison and Broadway, is 25 million gallons per day. Considering we are already ordered to spend $725 million in wastewater improvements as part of our EPA consent decree, it would seem like a no-brainer to commingle cost commitments and try to kill two birds with one stone. Many council members have said, make industry pay for it. The reality is they have tried. Previous council denied a proposal from Valero Refining where Valero offered to pay for the infrastructure to bring effluent to the facility in exchange for paying the same rate golf courses do for irrigation. That was denied. But alas, here we are, $725 million for wastewater improvements, $750 million for desal, another $5 billion in CIP projects as part of the master plans before you as well today. That makes the $481 million for the American Bank Center seem like chump change. Yes, we must plan for the future, but that future must include a place where the citizenry can afford to live. We can do better. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Rebecca?
All right, Mayor, the next individuals are signed up as WebEx speakers. The first is Brittany Young. Ms. Young?
Okay, hello, hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
My name is Brittany Young. I am a resident of District 3, zip code 78415. I am taking, okay, hopefully you can hear me. My name is Brittany Young. I am a resident of District 3, zip code 78415. I am taking time out of my work day to call in and make public comment, demanding for the council to vote against their plans to install the costly Inner Harbor desalination plant and any other proposed desalination projects. I'm not going to sit here and go on about the moral, environmental, and economic issues associated with pursuing the Inner Harbor desal project. You were presented these arguments over the period of several years and obviously today. But I will note the voices against pursuing this project have grown immensely, both offline and online. The media is watching, and most importantly, the voters are watching. We, the people, have been watching the city council meetings. We have the receipts, and we see which council members actually give 2 cents about the people, and which council members are willing to throw us into the mouth of the industry under the pretense that this is for the greater good of our community. Everyday citizens, community organizers, and organizations have stopped attempts to turn our coastal home into a sacrifice zone. So don't let anyone tell you out there in the audience that signing a petition, making public comment, or protesting will not make a difference. It does. These elected officials are up for re-election this November. Your power is in your vote. If you want more people on the city council to serve the needs of the people first, you have to get out and vote. The last day to register to vote or update your mailing address for the joint primary elections is February 5th. Please visit the county courthouse, USPS, or go to votetexas.gov to find a voter registration application. You have the power, and don't let them tell you otherwise. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Next on the list is Amanda Rose.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, we can. Please proceed.
Okay, my name is Amanda Rose. I live at 625 Chamberlain Street, District 2. I also want to let you know that I just had to walk out of my class that I'm teaching in order to speak. And I had to listen with an earpod while I was teaching, just so I could have this opportunity. These meetings are not held at a time that is convenient or even possible for many people. I strongly oppose the desalination project.
This project does not benefit the people of this community or the people that this council claims it represents. It only benefits large corporations who take so much from the city and give back so little. This project will risk the health of our community's most important natural resource, our bay. And this is just for the benefit of the few and the very rich. The city was mistaken to put Exxon and Steel Dynamics and their want of water ahead of the needs of our own residents. You can't fix one mistake by making an even bigger one. I'm calling from Lord Island, where the university is. I'm surrounded by experts on our bay. I'm studying environmental science here. They are the literal experts. These are oceanographers, chemists, biologists, and environmental scientists. And I want to know what they're telling you, because I can tell you what they're telling me when I ask. They say this is wrong. They say this is a mistake. This is potentially devastating to Corpus Christi Bay. Do you want this to be your legacy? Do you want to be known as the mayor and the city council that killed Corpus Christi Bay? Is that what you want for your legacy? Because we'll make sure that happens. The people who love this bay won't forget what happens here and won't forget who is responsible. Put Corpus above corporations and vote now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rose. Next we have Teresa Carrillo. Ms. Carrillo? Ms. Carrillo? I don't know if you're muted. Okay, I'm sorry, we're not able to connect with Ms. Carrillo. Next on the list is Sharon Del Sus. Ms. Del Sus, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you see me? Okay. Sharon Del Sus, 6030 Tapis Street. Please play video provided. Today, I would like to urge the city to please apply for this grant for a trail from the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department. I actually did all the work myself, and all we need is a legal document that says Corpus Christi has the right to make a trail in this public area. And I can't do that part. That's on you. And I actually spoke to the grant coordinator, and he gave me all the information I need to complete this grant. Yes, there are some supporting optional documents that you can give, like letters of support, final designs. These help, but they are not required. Or even a resolution from the city council to show support, that's not required. These are optional. I gave all the required information, the maps, and actually didn't come up with a location myself. It's from the NPO plan. There's already a plan for this trail. I used a part of it, and I said, let's use this as the grant. Now, I want to mention that this grant has been around for a while, for many years, and it gets awarded all over Texas. Corpus Christi has probably never applied for the grant, never got the grant. Actually, the only time Corpus Christi did get the grant is actually the Botanical Gardens. They applied. So I don't know if that counts, but they applied for a trail in the Botanical Gardens. But Corpus Christi, for a public use, we never applied. So I know it's competitive, but the chances of winning are 0% if you don't apply. But if you apply, you increase your chances. So maybe that in itself might increase our odds, the fact that Corpus Christi has never won. So I've been getting a lot of runarounds behind the scenes, and I'm going to let the public know. For example, they say, well, we don't have enough money, because how the grant works is it only pays 80% of the project, and the 20% the city has to pay. It's up to $300,000, so the city would have to pay 20%. And I spoke to the grant coordinator, and he said that you can use that money within the 4 years. So you have 4 years to do it. So you don't have to work on this right away. I'm sure you guys are going to make this trail eventually in this 4 years, hopefully. I spoke to the grants coordinator. all the information. He saw the document. He said, okay, yeah, you gave all the information, the map, the pictures, all that. And all that's left is a legal document. So please, city manager, pull the strings required to get that document. Please, let's get on that for the benefit of the city. If you want to follow this advocacy that we are doing, follow us on Instagram at iBikeCC or check out our website at ibikecc.com. Thank you for watching.
And for the record, nobody from the city manager or the parks person either got back to me. They just ignored me even though I gave all the information to get this grant. Thought the public should know. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Jesus. Next on the line is Elida Castillo.
I'm gonna just use my 1 minute.
Oh, ma'am, okay. I'm sorry, what did you say?
Oh, I'm just gonna use my 1 minute comment, not WebEx.
Okay, you're gonna speak in person for 1 minute, okay?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, do you wanna do that now?
Oh, yeah, I can do that.
Good afternoon, Council. My name is Elida Castillo. I'm a citizen of Taft in San Patricio County, where the city has proposed a desal plan and is exploring the Evangeline. I'm an impacted party since I get to experience and witness all the terrible ways our water is being depleted daily. Despite all this and being a Corpus Christi taxpayer, because we have an office here, FYI, I'm not asking you for breaks. Unlike the same industries you sell us out to, I'm an outsider. Honor thy father and mother, which the city council does not do. You do not honor God's creation and Madre Tierra. Thou shalt not kill. The quality of life of residents who reside near heavy industry can be reduced up to 15 years less than those who live just a few miles away. And desal will kill our bay and every living creature that call it home and the small businesses that are sustained by it. Thou shalt not steal. You are stealing water and picking the pockets out of hardworking citizens through increased costs for those who don't pay their fair share. One thing we know that the city can do is rescind the voluntary surcharge that industries pay for every 25 cents for every 1,000 gallons. I have 9 videos of Hillcrest residents who are speaking out against desal. Please protect them, and Boleros that go GCB, rather than like advocating for desal, you can put in the best control measures that, you know, won't kill our and harm our communities and deplete our water sources, so thank you.
The next people on the list are, they state that they are non-residents. Would you like me to call them, or do you want to? They're here in person, but they're non-residents, except for the last 2.
Yes, that's fine. And, yeah.
Go ahead. Okay, so you want me to call them? Okay, next we have Mike Culbertson.
Culbertson, President and CEO of your Corpus Christi EDC. I'm at 800 North Shoreline, but I live over in Portland. I'm speaking in favor of the desal plan. Unemployment in August 1992 was 10.9%. Lake levels were 25%. Corpus Christi was just continuing its slow decline after the 80s. Yet the city council decided to go forward and secure a new water source later known as Mary Road. Again, in 2010, unemployment was 8.2%. Not a lot of growth on the horizon, yet they approved the second pipeline. I want you to think about, imagine where we would be without that 40 million gallons a day. We need a drought-resistant water source. This will be a huge step to ensure future citizens resources to grow and prosper. For all the reasons, you're a regional water supplier. I urge you to be leaders today. I urge you to be visionaries today and move the city and the region forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you, nice.
Next we have Karen Knoll.
Actually, I'm Karen Canale from Sandia, Texas. I'm a resident of Jim Wells. I'm a landowner along the Nueces River in Jim Wells County and a 5th generation coastal bend resident. I'm also a board member of the Nueces River Authority. And I'm here today because we cannot survive without air and water. Water is our most critical resource, and it is essential that we do all we can to ensure we have drinkable water for future generations, as well as various industries, agricultural and industrial, inland and coastal. Drought affects us all, and it is imperative that we work together to find a solution. We need a drought-proof water supply. And why should those of us here today that do not live in Corpus Christi have a voice? Because what you here decide affects us all along the coastal bend. Desalinization plants have been very successful in the US and around the world. These plants have not destabilized their environment, but enhanced it. I ask you to listen to the experts, study the reports, and move forward with bringing our coastal bend region into a self-sustaining, profitable, and enhanced place for all to thrive.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Next, we have Michael Paris.
My name is Michael Paris. I'm Director of Business Development at the San Patricio County Economic Development Corporation. Thank you for being business friendly, and thank you for being stewards of the public money. Over the past 10 years, $62 billion in investment have taken place in this region. Capital investment that create jobs, that create infrastructure, and that create a tax base for our schools and for our citizens. Of that $62 billion, $37 billion have landed in San Patricio County, and it's affected all of us. We support the water that's necessary for business and industry, because at the end of the day, it supports primary jobs that create a good quality of life for this region. Thank you very much.
Next is Peter Bailey.
Good afternoon, Peter Bailey. I'm with 135 Goldie Circle, Shenandoah, Texas. I'm not a resident. Executive, I'm here today to support the Inner Harbor Desal project. I'm Executive Vice President with PLW Water. We're a water infrastructure contractor. I'm also the past chair of TexLand, Texas Water Infrastructure Network, a group of water contractors around the state. We support the project. We also support the use of progressive design and build, because we think it adequately manages risks. And I'll leave you with this. We do projects all over the state. I applaud your leadership in taking this step. Many major cities are implementing these types of bold decisions to establish water resiliency. And I wish you success with your project. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Brian Williams.
And I have a very short. I'd like to speak it out, please.
All right. Joe Sullivan.
Madam Mayor, distinguished members of City Council and City staff, my name is Joe D. Sullivan Jr. I'm a lifelong resident of the Coastal Bend, specifically Beeville and now Sandia. I'm also a business owner that operates in Corpus Christi and 12 counties in the Coastal Bend. As a former council member of the City of Beeville and president of the Beeville Economic Improvement Corporation in the 1990s, yes, 30 years ago, I am familiar with the Coastal Bend's water needs and resources. I represent the City of Beeville in supporting the interbasin pipeline from Lake Texoma to Corpus, which would ultimately take pressure off of the Lake Corpus Christi water supply, where Beeville, Mathis, Alice, and other cities still obtain their water. Just as our energy supply has seen an impressive mix of options for our power, as in hundreds and hundreds of giant wind turbines and solar farms to complement our natural gas, coal, and nuclear supply, so must you take action on our aerial water resources and sources. The time has come for the desal of the endless source of salt water to contribute to the existing surface water, subsurface water, and interbasin transfer sources. I urge you to stand firm in the face of opposition, just as Governor Briscoe stood when he proposed farm-to-market roads, and Mayor Mary Rhodes did in the opposition of railroad stop line.
Thank you. Next is the next two commenters are on WebEx, and they're also non-residents. The first is Lydia Ponce.
Good afternoon, relatives. I'm calling in for Society of Native Nations, and the Texas motto is friendship. So I'm calling from Venice, California, in kinship and friendship. As we know, water is life, and Corpus Christi cannot be both a petrochemical build-out and 5 desalination. You have to make a choice, either or that or tourism. I was last there with 12 people sitting around eating turf and surf. I will not be going back to Corpus Christi, provided that I can't eat the fish. I am actually indigenous from the ocean. I enjoy Corpus Christi as it is. Make your choice wisely, listen to the people, or I can actually advise that the people that are there speaking against it, take their seats. Take their seats from them, unseat the people that are voting yes today. Thank you.
Next is Frankie Orona.
Yeah, hi, I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Awesome, thank you. My name is Frankie Orona. I'm also with Society of Native Nations. That is a Texas-based nonprofit organization working with indigenous people and those disproportionately impacted communities that are typically indigenous, Black and brown communities. We also own commercial property in Ingleside, Texas, and I'm here to say that we are completely against the desalination that threatens not only our environment and contributes to the biodiversity loss, but it also increases human health issues to the degree that it becomes and is a human rights issue. So-called tested technology around desalination is false. Do the research. It's what you all get paid to do to protect the people you represent. Do not allow Corpus Christi to become another sacrifice zone in Texas to industry and the pollution and harm it causes long-term. Desalination is a false solution, and please do not allow industry to continue to commodify water and have the power to decide who gets clean water access and how much it will cost them. Industry perpetuates.
Thank you, Mr. O'Donnell. We appreciate it. Mayor, just as a note, there's 2 individuals who were signed up during the regular public comment period who were not here when their name was called. Okay. Will you allow them? Okay. The first one is Justin McKenzie.
Good afternoon, City Council. Justin McKenzie, I am a resident, District 2, 256 Melrose, area code 78404. I'm here to speak to you today in favor of the desal plan. I live in Corpus. My family did get brought here by industry. That industry supports myself, my family, hundreds of our colleagues. I'm a dad, a husband, and recently I've started teaching Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the mornings. That's afforded me a chance to meet a lot of residents, most of whom grew up and have been here for generations. I do think that it's very important that young people, young families, professionals, students, they have a value proposition in Corpus Christi. You can look at what's happening globally, or even western parts of the United States, as cities are losing water. That is not a headwind that our people want or need. That is just not something that we want to deal with. We do have the know-how in the region to go put in desal properly. I think that there's been tension in the room. I think that tension is important. I'm a resident here, so we have to get it right. But I am a resident in favor of desalination because, like many have said, the world is changing and you want a solution that is drought-proof and growth-proof. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Justin. And the last person is Francis Morey.
I'm Frances Morey, and I've been here since I married Michael Westergren in 2015. And I like to think that I don't need to go on vacation, because living in Corpus is being on vacation. It's a wonderful place to live in, with all the amenities and the lovely things we get to do here. And I want a show of hands. How many of us here have heard about the millions of little baby oysters they're sending us to seed the bay with oysters? Anybody? You've heard about it? No one else? How about back here? There's a few people. It was on the internet, so I can't find it and cite the source. But that is to help keep the bay viable and productive, and if we dump in a bunch of saline, we might kill all those baby oysters. So I'm hoping that we don't proceed today and wait for some technology to come along and help us solve these problems. And I'm sure that technology is waiting in the wings. Thank you.
Ms. Murray, can you state your address for the record? I'm sorry.
2033 18th Street.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Mayor, that concludes the public comment period.
Thank you, Rebecca. Okay, well, it's 1:45, so what we're gonna do is break for lunch, and the council will go into executive session on items 14 and 15, per Texas Government Code Section 551.071, 551.072, and 551.087. Then we will return and start up with our individual consideration items 3 through 10. We'll return. Thank you.